But we start with the Bulldogs. The mixed messages out of the Dogs in particular, Caro, and the uncertainty around the coach which is brewing, Luke Beveridge.
There's certainly uncertainty around the coach. The club has denied from several sources today, Craig, that there was a crisis meeting today wherein the coach was going to be spoken to about some of his methods, some of his selection decisions. But what is true is that Luke Beveridge will address the media tomorrow, and my understanding is that he will be told in no uncertain terms that the message has to change. The message has been confusing. You spoke about this on the Sunday Footy Show, Kane, and a lot of people simply don't understand. And I'm not just talking about sponsors and coterie and media, I'm talking about players. What are they doing at the moment? Are they playing for the now or are they rebuilding? And I think that...
Well, I don't think he's in alignment with the club on this is the problem, isn't it?
No, well, he's not. But the other thing, and, you know, we know that I think Peter Jackson was brought in late last year after the coach had been re-signed to review the footy department. And I gather that among those findings, or certainly from what happened afterwards, that there was an understanding the coach needed stronger people around him, different people around him, and more help. That he had too much power and he needed more help. So who have we heard from this year, Matthew? We haven't heard really much from the CEO. We haven't heard really much from the president. We haven't heard from Matthew Egan or Chris Grant. All we've heard from is Luke Beveridge.
Yeah, the frustration, I think, is it's a real cycle at the Western Bulldogs that, at this time every year, you say, why aren't the Bulldogs performing quite like they need to? He cops pressure because there's always players who we know are good enough to be in their 22 that just aren't being played. Then it gets to mid-season and suddenly the side settles down again. He picks the side he should have picked in the first half of the year and the Dogs come home and win enough games to either play or just miss out. So it just doesn't make any sense.
The messaging, let's start with that. So Luke Beveridge on the weekend and then the response on the now versus the future, and then Lee Matthews had his say as well.
You don't pick the side 2 weeks ahead, but understanding what we've got coming up against the Saints with a bit of a taller forward line, that we're definitely going to need someone like James in the team. Whether or not there's any pain as we evolve and move into the future, because it's all about the now and what's up next and what's up next year, and history is history.
I can't empathise in where Bulldogs are and Luke Beveridge is, of saying we're deliberately going to try and make ourselves worse just to play these 4 or 5 kids. I wouldn't have thought they were in that situation. It's a strange narrative because it is the public narrative, isn't it? Luke himself is saying we're playing the kids because we've got to think about the future. God, I reckon every game you play's got to be a grand final.
Yeah, we're all confused, and I'm not surprised to hear you say that the club is confused as well, and they're trying to seek clarity.
The media team will try and explain to Luke Beveridge that he needs to say where they're playing for. And the view of most internal people at the club, Craig, is that this is a top 4 list.
Yeah, so he doesn't believe that. It's clear. He's lost trust in key players.
Why, though?
He's regenerating the list on the fly, and he has even rejected your narrative that this is a strong list. And in fact, here's a little bit of example from last year before we explore further, and then the inconsistencies of message against the CEOs.
Yeah, well, you guys, I mean, you can only assess our list based on what you see. Are you looking at our whole list? Are you looking at players who have been influential in the past? Is your knowledge of the game sophisticated enough to understand that it takes more than, a handful?
So you think you've got a top 4 list right now is the bottom line?
Yeah, we do. They haven't all played consistently at that level, but if you look at the nucleus of that team, you build a side around that.
Now we're on a period of evolution, significant evolution again, when you consider coming off 22 straight out in elimination final last year, finishing 9th. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and thinking you're going to get a different result.
Yeah, so they're just not on the same page. This is Baker kicking it out in the full 3 times. Tell me you'd rather Bailey Dale or Baker kicking that football from half-back. This one goes into the stands. Like, this is how bad this guy's going, and Luke Beveridge has opted to play him in front of Bailey Dale, who is an All-Australian who you've signed for 5 years, and this is what we're getting. We're getting Bramble, we're getting O'Donnell, and we're having McRae out of the side.
So how are they signing players long-term that he won't play?
Because he disagrees with where list management and the board and the CEO you've heard from...
the heart of a footy club.
100%, that's the whole of the issue. I don't know how many times I can sit here and say they should have moved on the coach a long time ago. It needed a fresh start. It needed a reset. It is the best coaching job that you can get right now. A new coach would go in there and do similar to what Adam Kingsley has done. I don't think I do at all, because I watched them play against Geelong last week, and they should win that game of footy, Hutchie. I've seen them play some excellent football, and every time they don't win, we question the list, and it's far wide-ranging than just selection. This team refuses to defend. Once again, they refuse to stop run-ons. Essendon kicked 10 out of the last 11 goals. So it's a bigger issue for Luke Beveridge than just selection, and that has overshadowed, and that's been the talking point today, and it's a big issue. But he doesn't believe in defence, and he hasn't believed in defence for the best part of 7 or 8 years. That's the biggest issue. That's why they're not getting the results that they should be getting with the list that they've got.
On Thursday night, I think Amit Baines needs to be asked at any of the games when they play St Kilda on Thursday night, is that did he present to the board in the weeks leading up to the season or the months leading up to the season, say, we are regenerating, we need to start again? And that's the only way he can get out of this, I think.
Do you regenerate with talent from the draft, Lordo? Just hang on a second. Do you regenerate with Bramble and Baker and O'Donnell, or do you regenerate with elite draft picks?
Yeah. Which Sanders, is one that he's got in the team. Gallagher's another one that looks okay, but the players that he's playing ahead of Daniel and Dale aren't the ones. And this is where...
He would argue these guys haven't got it done for me in the last 2 years.
Yeah, but I think the reason they don't get it done was Bailey Smith was one of the most dynamic wingmen in the game. He made him a forward. Caleb Daniel became a forward when he's one of the best halfback flankers. Jason Johannesson was a Norm Smith medal halfback. He turned him into a forward. Liberatore lost his way for a period because he made him a forward when he's a gun inside mid. Ed Richards was drafted as one of the great halfbacks. He made him a forward. Bailey Dale a sub. And Rory Lobb, he tried this year to make a wingman. So that's why he doesn't help himself.
Do you think he's a poor judge of picking a team and where to play them?
Well, he's won a grand final, he's made a premiership, but I think he makes things harder on himself and his team in performing consistently because of the way he selects.
I can promise you Caleb Daniel will play this week, and the team will be selected tomorrow. I mean, they don't have much time to turn it around, but I don't think he would have presented that to the board, Matthew, because I don't think anybody, apart from Luke Beveridge, didn't think that they were in it for the now, that they thought that they were going to present this year.
But he said that at round one.
Which I think caught a lot of people by surprise. I'm not sure there's harmony at that football club. Well, I know there's not harmony, and I don't think there's harmony
between who, Caro? Because if there's not, that's when a casualty... It doesn't look like
anyone's on the same page at the moment.
But then I'm interested in Caro has that information, because if you're not on harmony with your management or you've lost your senior players, you're in trouble.
Look, all parties have insisted that the relationship between Amit Baines and Luke Beveridge has improved since they fell out last year over the decision to get rid of Rowan Smith, I think, and a couple of other changes. But I'm not quite sure how good it is. I'm not sure that every player is on the same page. A significant amount of players are on the same page with the coach now. And one view, and I think it's internal as well, is that Aaron Norton should be tried at centre-half back. Now, let's see how that went down when it was put to Luke Beveridge the other night.
Are coaches so stubborn that they want to push back on the advice they get externally?
Are you serious?
I am.
Are you serious?
What's the other reason?
No. Are you suggesting that a coach won't do something that might be better for their team because someone else suggests it externally?
That's what I'm asking.
You're sitting in A1 of the cheap seats because it's so easy out here because you don't have all the information.
I don't know, much has been spoken about. Aaron, would you ever consider him moving back, or is that not even a possibility? I can tell by your smile.
You know better.
So the inference here that he's being stubborn because other people have suggested it, not him.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Well, the initial conversation was actually regarding Adelaide and the move of Isaac Rankin on ball, and whether Matthew Nicks had been stubborn because everyone was suggesting it. But to your point,
Beveridge wouldn't even answer the question. It was a fair question.
He's been asked that question a lot, though. And
they should have asked that question after the other.
And once again, list management have decided to sign Aaron Norton for 9 years as a forward. So maybe he disagrees with that as well.
They're in a really interesting point here where it just looks like there's going to be mass turnover at the end of the year on the playing sense. And Bailey Smith's the obvious one. Here's the update there.
Our approach with that has been to offer a contract to him. We're really keen to retain him. He's had that, but at the same time, we don't want to put any undue pressure on him.
Has he given you any indication of his intentions?
No.
So that looks like an exit. You've got English where the debate will be, A, does he want to go, and B, is he worth the million or so to keep and the best use of money. You've got these guys all largely, you'd have to say, at a level of disgruntlement, varying among the four, who the club might want to move out one, two or all, or they might want to go. And then I think you've got a attraction problem too, which is how do you attract players there when the coach changes his mind on so many players who are contracted? Like, it'd be a very tough sell to recruit an elite player, I think.
That's a great point you make, and I think Bailey Smith, very attractive to everyone. Caleb Daniel, I think, would play in anyone's side, in my opinion, and Bailey Dale also. So there's 3 great opportunities for 17 other clubs.
And then Bontempelli's an interesting one. So he's done predominantly, for a player of his stature, shorter term deals, a 2-year and now a 4. He looked really frustrated on Friday night. And he's up at the end of next year. They'll be trying to sign him throughout the course of this year. His view on the coach, Kane, is going to be he would have the ability, well, I think LeBron James style almost, to have a stronger view on the coach.
Well, he would. He would,
like if he said, hey, I don't think this is aligning for us and I might sit it out till the end of next year.
The view has always been that as long as Marcus Bontempelli supports Luke Beveridge, it doesn't really matter so much about Kylie Watson-Wheeler or Luke Darcy, who clearly have been big supporters. Clearly, well, I can't speak for Marcus Bontempelli, but there are more players now who are getting Jacobies.
If they can't get him signed by the end of the year, Bontempelli, or he won't, he says, I'm going to wait. I think that spells the end.
The side that beat them, Hutchie, were the Bombers, and they were smashed during the week by just about everybody for the way they play and the Port Adelaide performance. But it was just nice to see that they went after the head of the Western Bulldogs. That was the first centre bounce. Durham, you go to Bontempelli, and Jai Caldwell, you go to Liberatory. Let's get the best. I thought Goldstein beat English. I thought Mackay beat Norton. So they took out their best players, and then off the back of that, and their two best players of the Dogs being gone after, I thought the energy just rose. And I thought it was a softish opening quarter, but after half time, I thought the pressure. Look at this from Harrison Jones. The pressure went through the roof, Kane. So I look forward to seeing if they can back it up against the Crows on Friday night. But the pressure they were under, it was an outstanding performance.